Hey guys, Barrett here. Welcome back to the video. Today we're talking about that terrible backhand. I know that a lot of people have trouble with the backhand and it's totally understandable, but I'm going to give you some tips on how to get more confidence in your backhand in pickleball. Now, real quick before we begin, I noticed the other day that only like 10% of you guys are subscribed to my channel. So at this point in time, I'd like to ask you for your subscription to my channel. Just scroll down right below. Smash that sub button, would really appreciate it. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to talk about is something I call opening the door. So what a lot of people do with their backhands in pickleball is they will swing out this way, and it's sort of a natural tendency that people have. Okay, the reason why I call opening the door, because if you imagine this being the hinge of a door right here, it opens this way, right? And that's exactly the way people swing. They kind of go like this and their chest kind of opens up, and it's just kind of this panicky sort of swing. What we want to start with here is swing consistency. In order to get more confidence in your backhand, you have to do the same thing over and over again. So what we're going to do here is, instead of swinging out this way, we're going to swing that way instead. Okay, notice the difference. Notice how my hand comes forward and it doesn't hinge like this. There is a time and place for that, especially with like the third shot, like a backhand drive, okay? But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about just a regular old backhand. It's gonna be a push forward. Okay, let me switch here. Watch. Pushing the paddle forward. And we're gonna do this every single time. So if you were to swing like this and you were to open up the door, your paddle face is changing a lot as you're coming through the ball, and so it gives it there's a lot of irregularity that happens. Whereas if you push the paddle forward, the face is generally going to be on the same path every single time. Okay, so let's watch this in action. So I'm just going to sit here and do these types of strokes here from the baseline, and one little trick that you can do is to almost pretend like your right hand, or whatever hand you're using with your paddle, is it going to cross over the center of your body? Is it going to cross over this way? It's going to stay on the left side, okay? Just for practice here. So what I'm trying to do here is just keep the paddle on the left side here and pushing it straight forward. Now, of course, for me, my stroke is a little bit different because I'm used to doing a slice. But if you really focus on pushing it forward instead of opening the paddle up, it's really going to help. Now, if I were to open up my swing, I would be yanking everything over to the right, most likely. Now, what will happen over time is you will naturally cross over, and that's okay. That's very natural, especially if you're doing a slice. But this is what you want it to feel like for now, okay? You want to feel like it's way over on your left side and nothing is coming over. Naturally, over time, things will start to cross over, and that's okay. And luckily for us, the motion is very simple. It's just a very easygoing push the paddle forward. What you will notice as you begin to do this more is that the paddle will sort of flatten out. That's very natural. You don't have to do this on purpose. You don't have to think to yourself, oh, I need to have the paddle flat out in front of me. That will happen naturally as you come through the ball. See how that works? Striking the ball here. That's just naturally how it works. The next thing I want to talk about with the backhand is to have a little bit more hinge in your wrist. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll hit the backhand like this, and you know what, that's okay if you can make that work. But if you're having trouble, try this. Try to, instead of hitting the ball like this, hinge that wrist. And when you hinge the wrist, especially if you're hinging it as much as you can, that creates a baseline angle for the paddle, right? And as long as it's hinged every single time, you know that the paddle is going to be in the same spot every single time. Whereas if you're hitting the ball like this, well, the paddle can still move. Whereas if you have it locked in a position, it's going to be the same swing every single time, which is what I talked about earlier. So try to give yourself more of that hinge. And by the way, this works with any kind of shot, excluding the third shot sort of backhand drive. You can do this with returns. You can do this with like cross court thirds, which are really good with the backhand. You can also do this with dinks, of course. So try to have a little bit more of that hinge in the backhand, and it can help you to create more consistency. Over time, as you get better with this, you can really begin to relax that hinge as you become more confident. Footwork is another important thing you have to consider when you're doing a backhand shot of any kind. It can be very awkward to hit a backhand shot while not moving your feet, because it's hard for our backhand to cross over here like this with our chest in the way. So what's best to do in this scenario is to try to turn everything to the side so that you're facing this way. So if I'm like this, okay, turn to the side so that your arm has plenty of room to move back here. A lot of people will get caught up right here, and then they can't take the paddle back very far. They know they're not going to have power, and that's what causes the opening of the door kind of deal here. So turn the body to the side, to the sideline, and then take the shot. Okay, watch. So much easier, so much more natural feeling when you do it this way. The cool thing about doing it, the stroke this way, is that you'll get backspin without really even trying. And that's awesome, right? Because a lot of people, when they're doing backhand slice, they try to like force it, you know, and they try to really go after it, and that's okay. But if you're doing more of a finesse shot, like with dinking or with third shot drops, you need to be a little bit more careful with that swing. There is a time and a place for the slice where you come straight down on it like that, right? But with this kind of backhand that we're talking about here, we're talking about more of a finesse kind of shot. Okay guys, so that's the backhand. Try these things. Try to come at the ball a little bit more smoothly, a little bit more calmly. Don't yank at it like this. Don't open up the door. Push the paddle straight forward and nice and smooth, nice and calm. As you get used to this, it will get better, and it will enormously increase your confidence. Guys, I hope that was helpful. Again, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate it. You can also go to pickleballkitchen.com for much more. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.